writes about her dark days with Bill but doesn't mention Monica Lewinsky by name as she admits she stayed with him because she still loved him in new memoir. Hillary Clinton has opened up about her dark days with Bill in a new memoir but doesn't mention Monica Lewinsky by name as the once presidential hopeful admits that she stayed with the former president because she loved him. Although the couple has been married for more than 40 years, Hillary acknowledged that it wasn't all smooth sailing. It was revealed on Friday. She said that there were times she was deeply unsure about whether her marriage to Bill could or should survive, according to a leaked excerpt of her new memoir. The 69-year-old described her time during the Monica Lewinsky scandal as her dark days but abstained from adding details, quipping "You know all about them." The former presidential candidate also discusses her failed campaign in her explosive tell-all, What Happened?, which will be out on September 12. A leaked excerpt of the book, obtained by Radar Online, reads, "We've certainly had dark days in our marriage. There were times I was deeply unsure about whether our marriage could or should survive." The memoir also reveals Hillary's thoughts on her 2016 presidential run, including her thoughts on President Trump. In another chapter of the book, Clinton explained what was going on in her head when Trump lurked behind her during a presidential debate in St. Louis, Missouri. "It was incredibly uncomfortable. He was literally breathing down my neck," Clinton said. "My skin crawled," she recalled. Hillary noted that the October 2016 debate came just days after the release of a shock audio tape in which Trump was heard bragging about groping women. Clinton steamed, "What would you do? Do you stay calm, keep smiling and carry on as if he weren't repeatedly invading your space? Or do you turn, look him in the eye and say loudly and clearly, 'Back up, you creep, get away from me'?" Another excerpt tells how she almost fell victim to bad branding and fresh embarrassment as she created a new political organization in the aftermath of her election loss. While eventually settling on the name Onward Together, Clinton's original name for the group was Our American Future, until a pal pointed out that the acronym for the group would be OAF, a word for rough or clumsy man. Luckily, a friend of mine pointed out that the acronym of Our American Future would be OAF, Clinton wrote. "I imagined the headlines, Hillary Clinton lurches out of the woods, here comes OAF," she joked. "We needed a new name, stat," she recalled thinking. "After a quick brainstorm, we came up with a better option that combined my campaign slogan, Stronger Together, with Onward. The exhortation I'd been using to close personal notes for years. What can I say? I'm a sentimentalist," she noted. Clinton, herself, will be speaking out, not just in the pages of the book, but on a 15-city book tour being called Hillary Clinton Live. Tickets at some of the Canadian dates are going for $1,200 American dollars each. While her first stop, in Washington, D.C., at a venue that's 1 block from President Trump's hotel and 2 blocks from the White House, tickets sold out within minutes, with some prize seats now being sold on StubHub also for $1,200. Experts say Trump Justice Department could reopen rigged Clinton probe, but it wouldn't be easy. After President Trump said Friday that Hillary Clinton was cleared of charges via rigged system, experts said it may be possible for the Justice Department to reopen the criminal probe, although it is unlikely. Launching a renewed investigation into Clinton's use of a private email server as Secretary of State would not run afoul of the Constitution's Double Jeopardy Clause, which bans prosecution twice for the same crime, experts say. The Double Jeopardy Clause ban only applies to prosecutions, not investigations. So there is no constitutional bar to reopening the investigation, said Susan Herman, a professor at Brooklyn Law School and president of the American Civil Liberties Union. Jeopardy doesn't attach until a jury is sworn in a jury trial, or until the first witness is sworn in a judge trial, said Lissa Griffin, a Pace University law professor who has written about the constitutional protection. Lack of double jeopardy complications doesn't mean, however, that the investigation into the former Democratic presidential candidate's handling of classified information could be reopened with ease. The Department of Justice should be independent and free from political interference, including pressure from the president, said Jimmy Garul, a law professor at Notre Dame University and a former assistant attorney general. Reopening a criminal investigation should be based on newly discovered evidence, not a political whim, said Garul, who worked in past Republican administrations. Trump's latest comments on the Clinton case come after Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee said former FBI Director James Comey began writing a statement absolving Clinton of criminal charges before the FBI conducted key interviews with her aides. Wow, looks like James Comey exonerated Hillary Clinton long before the investigation was over. And so much more. A rigged system. The president tweeted. Although Trump said from a presidential debate stage he would appoint a special prosecutor to review Clinton's conduct, the idea was quietly dropped after the election. Garul said Trump can't appoint a special prosecutor anyhow, though the attorney general could. Garul said it's conceivable Trump would commit obstruction of justice charge if he ordered an investigation reopened to damage a political opponent, especially if the matter already was reviewed by a grand jury and closed, as was the Clinton case. Due process prevents a prosecutor from bringing charges for political or personal reasons, but we aren't there yet, Griffin said of a theoretical renewed Clinton probe. Griffin said it's conceivable Clinton would seek an injunction if an investigation was launched, claiming an abuse of process, and probably would claim improper motivation in a motion to dismiss if there were an indictment. Trump fired Comey in May, with one justification: his usurpation of Attorney General Loretta Lynch's power in deciding whether Clinton should face charges. Lynch had met with former President Bill Clinton privately during the investigation, creating the appearance of a conflict of interest. Comey recommended against prosecuting Clinton, saying she was extremely careless with classified information but that there wasn't strong evidence of criminal intent. The likelihood the Justice Department will reopen the Clinton case appears slim. A spokesman declined to comment on the possibility, saying, "The Department of Justice does not generally confirm, deny, or otherwise comment on the existence of an investigation." Even Clinton foes doubt a new criminal investigation would happen. It's unlikely it will be reopened for political reasons, namely, that Attorney General Sessions is on the defensive, said Larry Klayman, a conservative legal activist and longtime Clinton nemesis who served in the Reagan Justice Department. He's under investigation by Mueller and he's basically buried his head on any controversial issue, Klayman said, referring to former FBI Director Robert Mueller's work as special prosecutor looking into potential collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Sessions was subject to intense midsummer criticism by Trump, including a July tweet that Attorney General Jeff Sessions has taken a very weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes, where are emails and DNC server, and intel leakers. No action against Clinton appears to have followed that criticism. Klayman believes Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein would have to pull the trigger on a renewed probe and that he's unlikely to do so. "In my years of fighting Bill and Hillary Clinton, the establishment leaves them alone," Klayman said. "This is a lot of smoke in terms of what the Judiciary Committee is doing. It gets them on Fox News, but when it comes to action, it's very unlikely." Will Comey's deception cause Republicans to rally around Trump? Proof that James Comey was ready to exonerate Hillary Clinton before his probe had concluded reopens old wounds. As Hillary Clinton might say, at this point, what difference does it make? That's the reaction many Americans might have to the revelation that former FBI Director James Comey was preparing to exonerate the Democratic presidential candidate in the email scandal that threatened to destroy her chances of victory before his investigation had concluded. A lot has happened since Comey made his announcement in July 2016 that although Clinton's conduct was negligent, her actions weren't criminal, and she wouldn't be prosecuted. with the focus on President Trump and allegations of collusion between his campaign and the Russians riveting the media since January. The charges against the former Secretary of State have largely faded from the news. Except, that is, Comey's various statements about her last year and how they might have impacted Trump's decision to ultimately fire the FBI director. But the uncovering of the memo that Comey had begun to draft prior to the interview of Clinton and many other key witnesses has angered Senate Republicans and, predictably, generated an outraged presidential tweet. But while relitigating the email scandal may be moot, the notion that Comey wasn't straight with the public about the Clinton probe will have an impact on the way it thinks about the investigation into Trump's conduct, particularly his dismissal of the FBI director. If nothing else, after months of congressional Republicans feeling increasingly alienated from the administration, the Comey revelations will drive many in the GOP back toward Trump. The irony here is that the Comey documents were produced as a result of complaints about him from Democrats, not Republicans. In the aftermath of his unusual press conference in which he took it upon himself to declare that Clinton would not be prosecuted, Democrats were furious about the criticisms he made of her egregious conduct and lax approach to security questions when it came to classified material. At that time, Democrats felt that Comey's comments constituted a violation of the Hatch Act, which prohibits federal employees from partisan activity during the course of their professional duties. Though many Republicans felt that Comey's decision aided and abetted Clinton's candidacy, Democrats thought his candor was a gift to the GOP. That led to an investigation that produced the memo. The proof that Comey seems to have already made up his mind long before all the evidence was in is, at the very least, curious. It also calls into question the veracity of some of his testimony before the Senate Intelligence Committee, in which he said his decision to announce the results of the probe last summer was motivated by Attorney General Loretta Lynch's tarmac conversation with former President Bill Clinton, which seemed to call her objectivity into question. As Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley and fellow Republican Lindsey Graham put it, Comey's attitude appeared to be conclusions first, fact-gathering second. Comey would intervene in the election again in a way that hurt Clinton in October when he reopened the investigation because of emails supposedly found on the computer used by former Congressman Anthony Weiner for illegal sexual communications with a minor. That turned out to be a dead end, and Comey soon told the country to forget about it, but there's no question that it contributed to Clinton losing an election that most observers thought she had in the bag. No matter what you think about what Comey said or did, however, there's no way to rewind the clock back to the summer of 2016 when a prosecution would have ended Clinton's hopes of being president, or to last October when Comey keeping silent about Weiner's computer might have helped Clinton win some of the crucial states she lost to enable Trump's Electoral College victory. Nor does it make Trump's ham-handed firing of Comey any more defensible, especially since he could never keep his story straight about his reasons for doing so. Comey's handling of the Clinton email probe may seem even more reprehensible than it did before. But the not unfounded belief that Trump fired him because of his refusal to publicly exonerate the president in the Russian collusion case, despite saying so privately, is the engine that created the Mueller investigation. It is on the outcome of that probe, and not the rehashing of Clinton's woes, that the administration's future depends. That said, the more the public learns about Comey's double-dealing and self-serving approach to his job, the less likely most Republicans are to think Mueller's deep dive into Trump world is justified. Many GOP voters may be disgusted with Trump's conduct, especially after Charlottesville. But the sketchy way Comey exonerated Clinton still grates on them. That doesn't convince the rest of the country not to despise Trump. But if Republicans stay loyal to him, he's in little danger of being abandoned by his party, let alone impeached and removed from office. Nothing that we learn about Comey or why he really deserved to be fired long before Trump took office will fix what's wrong with the administration or even do much to deter Mueller if he is determined to collect the scalps of Trump and his senior aides and family members. But as the attempt to sink Trump continues, Trump needs a party that he has done much to alienate to stick with him. So long as both the congressional GOP and rank-and-file conservatives are still focused on the partisan battles over Clinton, they will remain on his side in the scandal wars yet to come. Despite his pose as a Boy Scout, Comey is the embodiment of our hyper-partisan political age and the way it can corrupt even apolitical institutions like the FBI. The more we hear of him, the more likely it is that even Trump critics will be reminded that partisanship is the only thing that matters in Washington.